Hey guys, thanks for the time. I really appreciate it. Um, talk about just what it was like kind of adjusting to the experience of having having cameras follow you. You're kind of used to that when it comes to being in the ring and things like that. But when it comes to the behind the scenes and in classes, outside, at home with family members, what kind of learning curve did you have for that? Just talk about that experience a little bit.
Luckily the Apple TV crew was super accommodating to all of us. So they made it a really easy transition, and we're also really used to getting our trainings being filmed. Danny would always have someone with a camera, or we have our security cameras filming us. So it wasn't a super uncomfortable transition for us. I don't, at least not for me. I don't think for Goldie or Twitch either. We've been in the Monster Factory for a long time, so it was nice.
Okay. Each of you also had your families involved and just what they think of your wrestling career and just their having their support. It seems like that was a big thing from everyone that you were involved with. Goldie, I know your parents were a little bit more wanting you to kind of think about another career path, but talk about just having the family involved and kind of showing that aspect of the business that a lot of people don't even think about when they're getting into the wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously is a huge part, just in life in general, having some kind of support. Um, so even if it came across as my parents being kind of pushing back, hey, maybe you need another job, which they do, they're always there for me. They helped me get to the Monster Factory and whatnot. Um, so I'm still grateful for the support that I do have because some people have to hide their dreams and whatnot, and I'm not in that position.
Got it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. When I told my parents that I wanted to be a professional wrestler, I was expecting a lot more. Like I didn't want there to be a fight or anything like that, but I was expecting a little bit more of a pushback or just even like a little skepticism. But they know how much pro wrestling means to me. They know how much I loved it and how I think how serious I was about it. And God bless my mom. She is I've had her sit down and watch hours and hours worth of matches to the point where she now kind of knows insider terms, which I don't know how I feel about that. Uh, but you know they've always been supportive within reason, but I'm just happy that they're I see a lot of there've been many examples of kids that have come to the factory that that they don't have the best support system when it comes to their pursuing this, or certain people even like they come for a few weeks and then they're told by their parents you're not allowed to keep doing this, and that breaks my heart because like even if you just to be able to give it a fair shot should be anyone should have a chance at trying to follow their dreams. I mean, we get the opportunity to every single time we walk into that building, and I'm just grateful that I have that support system.
And when it comes to your stories, which I love, is every story is different and kind of really resonates. First off, Twitch, you talk about just your parents even make that point that in many ways CM Punk saved your life. I mean, when you hear that, and does he know about that? And talk about just when you see your parents saying that, what kind of reaction you're getting, and is that kind of something that you see?
Um, it was I told my mom that story about how Punk had saved my life. I had only told her that maybe a few years ago. Because at the time, it was very well documented around the Disangro household how much of a rough time I was having. So I just didn't want, and I worked up the courage because I was in a lot better of a place at that point to tell her that, because she's very protective. Um, she's always tried to have my best interests at heart, and she can get worried about that sort of stuff. So I didn't want to tell her and her think that like it was still an ongoing issue, and it was the first time I had seen her cry when talking about it, and that meant a lot to me. It's her being understanding, and I'm just very grateful. I'm very grateful.
And Gabby, there's a tough point where Danny's in, you're having a rough time of it when it comes to, you're at crossroads. It seems like all these years I've been working for it, nothing, I'm every time it's a start and stop, and kind of maybe you're losing confidence in yourself. And he really kind of gives you some tough love in that scenario outside of the Monster Factory. When you look back at that scene and the mindset, and that was just last year. I mean, where are you today? I mean, how is that kind of how did that kind of help you, you'd say?
Danny and I have had that conversation many times away from cameras. I've been in this for 7 years. So there's ebbs and flows. There's, these peaks where I'm like, I'm at the top of my game. No one can tell me anything. And there's these valleys where I feel just awful. And I think any wrestler, any person in any industry can relate to that. And having a mentor or, somebody kind of like snap them out of it, like, hey, you're here for a reason. So that conversation wasn't like jarring or like upsetting for me or anything like that, but it was after that conversation, especially like realizing the opportunity that we had in front of us with the cameras there, and this was being documented for the world. There's a definite shift in me. I felt personally, whether that's comes across on the show or not. I felt it in me, and I have felt it since, and I've just been in a much better place.
Yeah, and it's good because you're also seeing your journey, just with you and Mimi, just women in wrestling, and just what you guys have to worry about when it comes to an aesthetic look, or perception, how you are in the ring, or what you look like, or things like that. So I think that really also I think viewers are going to pull from that as well, I think.
For sure.
And Goldy, just I can relate to your story in many ways when it comes to anxiety and being in certain situations and worrying and things like that. How is it kind of being able to show that? Because here's a guy in shape who has this character who's very confident and exudes all these great qualities that I would never think of him like being that way. And then, you see your, behind the scenes and kind of what you've been battling, and talk about just how you've been able to work your way through that and kind of show others, that are going through the same thing, that they're not alone, basically.
Yeah. I would say in real life, usually I'm a pretty closed door. So it was nice to open up and show everyone this different side of me, because people see me and, like you said, probably wouldn't think that I have this anxiety, these panic attacks. So I hope people can watch this and relate, like you said, and see that, you can't always judge a book by its cover. And I think you can do that with everyone in this show. So if people can watch this and kind of be like, oh, these people are going through these issues also, and they're still chasing their dreams and succeeding with their dreams. That really means a lot to me. And I know that means a lot to Twitch and Gabby as well.
What do you guys, when it comes to advice and words of advice of someone who has made it in the industry, just tell me what that was for you guys when, through your career so far.
It's hard to give advice about in the perspective of someone who's made it in the industry, because I feel like there's still so much work to be done.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm rephrased it wrong. For yourself, what kind of advice has someone given you that you really have taken to heart there?
Mostly just to keep going when things are tough, because of those ebbs and flows that I mentioned earlier. That, like, there's going to be times when, like, you're not like the top guy, and that's okay. And it could go back to that, or maybe your place in wrestling isn't a wrestler, maybe it's something else, but that the good times aren't always forever, and neither are the bad times. You just got to keep going.
Who did anyone in particular say that to you, or
it's actually Missy Sampson, one of our coaches.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, what about you guys?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same kind of thing, and that's advice that I'll give to new people as well. And I think that just relates to in and out of wrestling. Just keep pushing, because in the show, as you see, I tried to quit many times when I first started. And thank God I didn't, because now I'm here and I'm happy with where I am. So push through and things get better.
Uh, the advice that I took to heart wasn't really given to me directly, but it was the speech that Brian Danielson said when he came back, when he was able to come back and wrestle, and where he talked about there were moments where he wanted to quit and he wanted to give up, and you don't quit, you fight, you keep fighting for your dreams, because not just with wrestling, but a lot of things in my life has kind of been an uphill battle, and I was always going to have to work a little bit harder to get to the same level as everybody else. And so just fight for your dreams, and your dreams will fight for you has always been my go-to. I write it on my wrist tape before I go out for a match. So yeah.
Love that. Lastly, what kind of impact do you think this show is going to have when it comes to the perception of wrestling? It seems like, we've seen so many documentaries and docuseries out there, but this one, it's such high quality, and I feel like there's an authenticity about it, which I really like. So I think it will have that sort of thing. But talk about a little about, you watching and you thinking about it, getting excited. This is on a huge platform, a huge audience for not only the Monster Factory, but for yourselves, and the kind of impact you think this is going to have for your own careers as well.
Yes, so I said earlier, I'm like, I think this will open up the professional wrestling business to a wider audience, because there's this perception of wrestling that it's fake, and you hear that word all the time as a wrestler, and I think this will show how authentic it really is, and how you need to be an authentic person to make it in this industry. And you have to have a story, because that's what we do. We tell stories in this business. And I just hope that we all get something good out of this, whatever that may be. And that's an individual thing for all of us. But we all deserve it, because we all work really hard, and we've all been under the tutelage of Danny Cage for many years. So I think we all deserve a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I love this show so much, because it's not a wrestling show. You don't have to be a wrestling fan to watch it. It's a show about real people trying to live their dreams, and the struggles they go through and how they overcome them. And I think it's just so relatable to anyone, whether you like wrestling or not. If you like wrestling, huge plus. If you don't like wrestling, I hope you will after this. But anyone will love this show.
I would say that for me, I mean, to touch on what Gabby said, yeah, to a non-wrestling fan, I hope that this brings a new found respect for pro wrestling and our industry, and what we go through. It's at the end of the day, show business is show business. We have to work just as hard as any musician or actor or dancer. It's something. Yeah. We go through the same trials and tribulations, maybe not the same way, but we do go through those things. And for the wrestling fans, I kind of want to be what Punk was to me. I hope that my story gets out there, because I can give someone who's going through the same things that I was going through, a reason to keep going. I want them to maybe look at my story and think, well, if he can do it, then so can I. Because if I do that, that means more to me than getting signed. I mean, I'd still like to get signed, but you know what I mean.
Yes, definitely. Thank you guys so much. Congrats on everything. I really hope the best for you guys, and I really hope this show really does that for what you guys said it would. So thank you guys so much.